So I've been in Scotland for 2 months and I've been having a lot of new experiences, seeing new things, new culture, new food, new people, and so many things that I did not even know existed. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the major culture shocks that I've seen since I relocated to Scotland from Nigeria. Hello everyone, my name is Busari Imoliayo. I am a Nigerian, I'm a registered nurse, and I recently relocated to Scotland from Nigeria. On this channel, I talk about my life generally as a nurse, nursing, healthcare, and recently I've been sharing my experience since I migrated from my home country. So if you're interested in content like that, do click on the subscribe button to join the YouTube family and also on the bell icon so you don't miss out when I drop another amazing video. With that being said, let's get into today's topic. So the culture shocks are majorly going to be in two different classes. The first one are the general culture shocks, which almost anyone that is relocating to Scotland from another country is going to find as a culture shock. While the second one are the nursing culture shocks, because I am a nurse and one of the major reasons I relocated is because I'm coming here to work as a registered nurse. So there are lots of interesting differences that I have been identifying since I got here. I made a list of some major ones and I want to share as well. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the accent. Now, when I was coming to Scotland, I know or I was very aware that the lingua franca or like the general language that people in Scotland speak is English. But what I was not prepared for was the accent. Now, watching movies like Melly, Legend of the Sikawa growing up, or like regular UK movies, I think what we saw in most of these movies were majorly the British accents. That's the accents of the British, which are people that live in England, not even Scottish, because it's a different thing entirely. They have their dialects, they have their slangs, and their accent is very, very thick. If you're coming, the first couple of days that I spent here, I could not hear anything. Like, I needed a friend who had been living here for a while to translate some of the things that were being said by the Scottish people for me because I could not hear anything. But I had a very good IELTS score. I think I had band 8 overall in my IELTS. So it was not as if I did not have a good knowledge of English. I could speak, read, write, and hear proper English before coming to Scotland. But all of a sudden, when I got here, I could not hear anything because of their accent. And some of the words you'll be hearing are we, which actually means little. We, little. You can hear words like scran, which means food. You can hear words like lad, which would mean like probably a boy. You can hear words like hen, which would mean a lady. And sometimes they say hiya instead of like hello there, how are you? Like they have their own set of accents. So if you're planning on regressing to Scotland, I'll advise that you probably research on some of these words and probably watch creators movies that are specifically made by Scottish people so you can get familiar with their accent because I'm not even joking, that accent is very, very thick and very different from what you have been hearing in your movies. Sometimes you even hear them say words like I as yes, like I. I'm on the sheep. The next thing I'll talk about is the weather. If you're coming from Nigeria or anywhere in Africa at all, you are most likely going to find this as a huge culture shock. The weather here is like the opposite of the weather in Africa. Africa has a very, very warm climate. Here, it is very, very cold. Like you can be getting wet temperature as low as -5 degrees Celsius. -5. I didn't say five. -5. -4. -2. It is very, very cold here. So instead of having air conditioners that we have back home to make the room cold, here you'll be having heaters to make the room warm. Like word and opposite. It is a struggle because I am still struggling with the weather. I am still layering my clothes. I still wear thick clothing like I'm inside my house and I'm wearing a hoodie. So the weather is a huge thing. And the one specific thing about Scottish weather, for me, I try to say Scottish weather behaves like a woman. No offense, but I'm just saying, women can be very funny at times and we can be dramatic, like very indecisive at times. So I like to describe Scottish weather as being like a woman because you can wake up in the morning, it is snowing, next thing you're seeing rain, next 4 hours you're seeing sun, next 4 hours you're seeing wind. You could have 4 seasons in just one day, and I'm not even joking. Like I've seen it happen time and time again in the space of just 2 months I have spent here. So the weather, just prepare yourself. Don't trust it. If you see the sun outside, don't trust it because that sun, the next 1 hour, you may not see that sun again. Next, you're seeing rain. So you really have to stay like on your weather app. Like you need to constantly check the weather, especially if you want to step out, so that you don't step out when it's sunny and when you're halfway to wherever you're going, it starts raining and you're stranded. The third thing I'm going to be talking about is the food. Hmm. I'm just grateful for the fact that there are a lot of African stores around, so I can actually get food that I'm very familiar with, like my regular Nigerian food. But if you're a bread lover, if you're a bread lover and African store is not close to where you live, get ready to do what I call the bread hunt. You will their bread here is very different from our bread back home. I don't know. I think the baking process is actually what makes it very different because the taste is not similar at all, except for one bread that I've actually found to be edible for me. I'm going to put the picture of the bread there. So I can write the name of the bread down, and I think can only be found at Aldi stores. Is it Aldi? Yeah, Aldi stores. So that's where you can get that bread. That is the only bread that I know that I have been comfortable with since I got to Scotland, apart from the normal bread I can get from the Nigerian or African stores, like the regular agege bread. So food is a major thing. I've tried some of their food. At least I've been able to cope with some of their food, like fish and chips. I actually like their fish and chips. Then what other food have I tried? I've tried some of their bread, like bread, and there's this thing they call tablets. I think it's made from meat. I initially thought it was beef. Then when I asked them, they said it wasn't beef. That it was probably pork or something. So I don't know, but the dough and tablet, I think I've gotten used to that, and I can actually eat that. Then the fish and chips, yes, because it tastes like it's literally fish and chips, but prepared in a different way from what the way I used to prepare it back home. But I can eat it. So food is one major culture shock. Driving, they drive on the right hand here. See, driving and crossing gave me a really hard time when I first got to Scotland because personally, even in Nigeria, I avoid crossing with any, like, as much as I can, I avoid crossing. If you're very close to me in Nigeria, you know that if I take a public transport in Nigeria and the driver, that bus, Okada, anything, wants to drop me on the other side of the road, I will pay extra for the person to turn and come and drop me in front of wherever I'm going because I avoid crossing because I really do not like crossing the road because of some things that I've experienced before. So I don't really like crossing the road. So when I got here, driving was on the right hand side, and the way they check their roads, the way they look at their roads is very, very different. Thankfully, there are some like there are provisions for some stands or some devices that you can just press that would notify the drivers that you want to cross, like pedestrians want to cross, and they will stop for you. But if you don't find that on your own, you have to just like I was really, really confused because I was looking at the left hand side of the road when I was supposed to be looking at the right hand side of the road. And when I saw the right driving, when I wanted to enter a taxi or when I wanted to enter some of my friends' car, I was like, what's going on? I would go to the driver's side and they're like, no, 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 that's where you're supposed to say. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I was really confused about that, and it took me a while to get used to that. As well. The next thing I want to talk about is also related to food, but I was surprised when I saw something else aside Coca Cola as a popular soft drink in a country. Like everywhere you go back home in Nigeria, like Coca Cola is very popular. You see Coca Cola, like the Fanta, Coke, Sprite, or if you don't see that, you're probably going to see Pepsi. But I saw Iron Brew. I was like, what's Iron Brew? I've heard of Iron Brew from a friend of mine that actually lives here, but I did not really expect it to be like fully blown like that. Almost everybody takes Iron Brew here. The same way you see everybody taking Coke and Fanta back home, it's the same way you're going to see everybody taking Iron Brew. I've tasted Iron Brew and it tastes like I don't know, sweet cough syrup or sweet candy. Like it has this sweet menthol kind of taste. To me, shall if you taste it, you might find it like different. So I'm like, nice. I don't know, but to me, I still pick my Coca Cola any day, anytime. Next thing I'm going to talk about is their bus system. Their bus system is very different from what we have back home. Now, the first time I took the bus, okay, this is a very embarrassing experience. Anyway, the first time I took the bus, I was sitting behind the driver. Okay, so when I got to where I was going, instead of me to press Sorry. Instead of me to press like the signal for the bus to stop, I'll send the bus driver from the back. I'm going to stop here. I didn't go in the bus with any of my colleagues, any of my friends. My friends already told me, oh, you're supposed to press, there's a red button for you to press to signal to the driver that you need to stop at the next bus stop. I'd forgotten. But now I'm just coming from Nigeria, so I was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm going to stop here." When the driver announced, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm supposed to press this." So I had to look for that, press that. But unfortunately for me, the driver had already gone past my bus stop, so they had to drop me at the next bus stop, and that's just it. The bus doesn't stop when there is no bus stop. Like they're not going to stop even like few inches away from the bus stop. They will not stop there to carry you. You can't wave the bus to stop here. No, it doesn't happen. So you have to stand at the bus stop. But one thing I love about the bus is that it's actually very timely and you find them on Google Map easily. Yeah, and that's another thing. People use Google Map a lot here. I don't know if it's I don't know how to put it, but back home you can literally, even though we use Google Map in Nigeria, a lot of people still use Google Map. But you can still ask someone, "Oh, I'm going somewhere," and they're able to like accurately describe the way. Okay, if you go through here, you'll see one junction. Go to the right, walk toward, you see one red building. Like people can actually give accurate descriptions, but here it's just Google Maps. Because even if you're asking some of the locals, like the Scottish, if you ask them, "Oh, I'm going to this place," they'll be like, I don't know where that is." Like everyone is so used to using the Google Map, and that is something. Just learn how to use the Google Map before you come, because if not, you get lost. You will just get lost. Before I go to the nursing culture shocks, if you want to take your IELTS exam, I've got some good news for you. I've been talking about this brand all this while, so if you're my follower, then you should have heard me talk about the IELTS coaching network before. So what they are doing in February is that if you're interested in their services, you have been on their free classes. Yeah, so I'm going to leave a link below to their WhatsApp group, because once you join their group, you're going to start getting free information about your IELTS exam, all for free once you join the group. But for those who want to take on private tutorials, like one-on-one coaching with them, they're having a discount for the month of February, and it's a 50% discount. So it's only for 25 people. So the first 25 people that probably click on the link, go to the WhatsApp group and tell them that you want to take advantage of the February discount for their private one-on-one tutorials for you from the time you register to the time you write your exam. They'll give you a 50% discount, and I wish you all the best in your exams. So don't forget, if you want to get your free information about your IELTS exam, just use the link below and join their groups, all for free, get information. And if you want to go ahead to take a one-on-one private coaching bundle with them, you can get a 50% discount just for 25 people in February. All right. Now talking about the nursing culture shocks, which is very, very, very interesting. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is the multidisciplinary team approach there. Nobody is alpha and omega here, and it is very interesting. For me, I love the way they make everybody feel relevant and important. Like your input as a nurse, as a pharmacist, as a physiotherapist, as a doctor, everybody, even the healthcare assistants are not treated like, do you get, they have a role set for everybody. Everybody knows their role, everybody knows what they're supposed to do. Then the nursing roles are quite different from what we have back home. Procedures like bed bath, bedpan, bed making, the regular self, let's just say most of the self-care procedures are not exactly nursing procedures alone. It is shared between the nurses and the healthcare assistants. While some of the roles that back home would have been considered non-nursing roles, nurses have opportunity to do a lot of procedures there. One major procedure that I know that I would not have been able to do back home, but I've started doing, is taking ECG readings. Now, back home as a registered nurse, the hospital where I worked was a teaching hospital, and the nurses were not the ones taking the ECG readings. There were even some of the ultrasound scans, not the nurses doing them. So when I got here and I had to start doing some of these procedures, I felt very happy because I've been taught some of these things in school, or a good number of them, but I don't practice them when I get to the hospital because of hospital policy, this and that. Oh, you're a nurse, you can't do this. This one, this is not a nursing procedure. This is not a nursing procedure. That's not a nursing procedure. So I feel very happy when I see that my impact as a nurse is more like, it's relevant, it is identified, it is pronounced, like people know that she's a nurse and she should do this. And I feel like, okay, my skills are actually relevant here, and I really, really, really love. Another major shock, culture shock, is how flexible their hierarchical structure is compared to back home. Back home, the hierarchy was very rigid, very, very rigid, and we had more posts. We have NO2, NO1, SNO, PNO2, PNO1, CNO2, CNO. Like the posts are very long, but here it's just based on your role. Band five, band like it, and you don't have like a number of years requirements. Like it's not as if you have not spent up to 10 years as a band five, you can be a band six or something. If you spend like at least 2, 3 years as a band five, even less in some cases that I've heard, as long as you have what it takes, you're competent and you have everything that they need for you to be in the next band, if there's an opening and you apply, you can move. And while some people can decide, okay, I'm not ready to move up to another band, so I want to remain as a band five. So it is very, very flexible here, and there's nothing like standing up to greet your matron or Mars or Star. All those honorifics attached to people's name is not here. Like you have to call your colleagues, even your senior colleagues, you call them by your first name. And I think I had a very serious issue adjusting to that when I first got to my ward, because I remember that when the charge nurse came, like the senior charge nurse, like that would be like the matron of the ward back in Nigeria, stepped into the ward and got to the nurse's station. On reflex, I stood up to greet her and I was like, "Good morning, ma." Even though I knew that that was not how things were done and I was not supposed to call her ma, I just did it on reflex. Like, I'd already forgotten myself. So immediately she just came and they were like, "Oh, that's senior child nurse." The next thing I knew, I was already on my feet and I was like, "Good morning, ma." And my the reaction was, it wasn't nice. Everybody was looking at me like, what was wrong with this girl? So when I saw the way they looked at me, I was like, oh, I'm sorry that it's just something I did on reflex, because that is how we address our matrons back in Nigeria. And they were like, no, you can't do that here. You call everybody by their first name. If you feel you're uncomfortable about anything, you have to voice out. Although, you have to be very careful about that. You don't just attack them at every given opportunity just because you feel you're not comfortable. You should know when to speak and how to speak, regardless of if they allow you to call them by their first names, and there's no like honorifics or this rigid hierarchical structure. You still have to like, apply your sense. So I had a very hard time adjusting to that, because majority of the people I work with are older than I am. So I'm either the youngest or second youngest. So it's a lot of dilemma for me when I see people old enough to be like my other sisters and my mom, and I'm calling them by their first name. Like, I'm not sure I can do this, but with time I actually adjusted, and they have been relating with me well since. And the bed management. Don't expect. I don't know. But probably this is just peculiar to NHS hospitals, because I work with the NHS. Don't expect to find empty beds on your ward. The wards are always filled up, and I was shocked. Like if you're discharging a patient, the next couple of minutes, another person is taking up that bed. Like the bed management is so nice. It is so like there is actually like a department that manage that they want to know how many patients are on the bed per ward, and it is very, very seamless. In fact, before a patient leaves one bed, you would have like patients on queue. So it is you're working non-stop. So it's really, really, really encouraging. I really love that, because you tend to see a lot of cases, you tend to see a lot of patients like different, and it is, I don't know how to describe it, but I really love that. I really love the fact that I get to see different things every day, not just like the same thing. Of course, a lot of nursing procedures or nursing rules are repetitive, but the fact that it's diverse and you have a lot of people to care for at the same time, I think I really love that. Or maybe I'm just a workaholic. I don't know, but that's just me. And if you have any other thing you want me to talk about as regards my experience in Scotland, let me know in the comment section. And if you want to see more of my videos, you can use this playlist here, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.